I've gathered up all of the tools that I think that are essential for beekeepers. Hey everybody, David Burns going to be with you. Been keeping bees, I don't know, almost about 30 years when I started keeping bees. And over those 30 years, there's a lot of tools that I find essential. I've laid them all out here. Might have forgot a few. I don't think so, but I'm going to show you today all the tools that I think you really need as a beekeeper. Now, there's a lot of them here, and so let's just get right into it. I'll start talking about these. These are going to make beekeeping a lot easier for you, whether you're a brand new beekeeper starting next spring, whether you've been beekeeping a while. You might find some of these tools really helpful once I explain what I use them for. Also, I've got links to many of these tools. This is not a paid promotion. I bought this stuff with my own money, but I've got links down below because I know a lot of you ask me sometimes, where the heck do I buy that stuff at? So let's jump right into it. I don't think it matters where we start, but let me start with maybe what we wear when we're working bees. So I wear usually a hat and veil. You've seen me in my videos. I like to wear a hat and a veil. I put a little plastic on here to help me see eggs better. I've got a video, by the way. I'll leave links down below to videos that I refer to, but I made a video on how I made my own little plastic thing. Yeah, you can buy them and you know, bolt them in there, but I just like something simple, DIY, right? So hat and a veil is essential for beekeeping. Also, I oftentimes in my videos, I'm seen wearing a bee jacket. I don't wear a bee suit unless I'm taking bees out of a building or something, but I just wear this slightly ventilated bee jacket, and piece of black tape is on there. And if you're a follower of myself here on YouTube, you know what that piece of black tape is for. It's not sealing off a hole. Leave that a secret for you to find out later. Also, gloves. Now, I like to work without gloves if I can, but sometimes if you're, you know, applying some treatment that requires some gloves, some nitrile gloves, I like to wear these chemical gloves. I also have been known to wear these gloves. Now, these are orange, but sometimes they're blue. I've had really good luck with these. There are two together here, but I don't get stung through these gloves. They're rubber, and they also have some canvas below the rubber, and I don't think they're sting proof, but I've never been stung through those. All right, so let me share with you my favorite smoker. I like just an inexpensive smoker. I don't think you ought to go crazy buying the most expensive smoker out there, especially if you're brand new to beekeeping. You don't know if you're going to stick around doing it for a while. You know, these are about 30 bucks or a hair under 30, and they do a nice job. And I like just a typical smoker like that. The smoker fuel that I use by choice, look at that. I tried a lot of smoker fuels over the years, and I like this one. It is the burlap that I buy. It's a food grade kind of burlap, and it burns really well in my smokers. So I love the burlap for my smoker fuel. Now let's talk about Hive tools. I talked about kind of the stuff you wear, like your hat and a veil, bee gloves, bee jacket, smoker fuel. Let's talk about Hive tools. Now, my favorite Hive tool, sorry, I'm stepping out of frame here, but I've got I got a lot of tools. My favorite type of Hive tool is this J-hook Hive tool. And one of the things that I'm frustrated about a J-hook, you say a brand new J-hook, the actual hook is really wide. I think I might look around because I've got one where the hook is gigantic. And so what I do is I take it over to my grinder and I grind that down to be a lot smaller. And that way they fit between my frames. So you can see kind of the difference where I have actually ground that down quite a bit. Now the traditional Hive tool, it looks something like this. It's just a slight bend on the end. It's great for smashing small hive beetle because you've got that on it and it's pretty wide. It's a scraper. And so I do like these. Got a couple of versions of them. These can be beneficial. So those are the Hive tools. There are different types of Hive tools. Don't go crazy and feel like it's going to make your bees much healthier if you get some fancy Hive tool. I mean, here's a larger one, J-hook with an extra hook. I have used that. I do enjoy it. You can go all out crazy and get something like this that's like got everything on it that you can. I think you can open a can of Coke with this and maybe change your oil in your car. I don't know, but it's like crazy, right? I don't think you really need to go crazy. Please don't feel like it's going to make a difference with the healthier bees. Now, so that's the Hive tools. Another thing you're going to need is a bee brush. A lot of beekeepers don't feel like a bee brush is all that important. Well, look, I've got a lot of bee brushes, and I just got a couple right here. So bee brush is important because sometimes bees get in the way where you're wanting to move frames, or you want to put a box back on top of another box, and bees are all over it, and that can be very frustrating. So yeah, this doesn't even show all the brushes that I have, but I just happen to have them here. You need a mite test kit. Now, this is a nice Ceracell mite testing kit. When I was leading the field test for the Master Beekeeper candidates at Eastern Apicultural Society, we chose to make them test with this kit. Now, this has been around for a while. You might recognize the yellow one. They're basically kind of the same. People have preferences, but this is for the alcohol wash for testing your mites. Definitely need that. If you're brave enough to mark your queens, marking pins, these are tools that I have had in my arsenal over the last couple of decades or 3 that I've been keeping bees. Always have a marking pin on you. Also, I have queen cages. That's a real important tool for me. I have the Jay's Bees plastic cage where if I find the queen, I can put her in here. That's a big help. I have push-in queen cages. These are really good for helping to control mites. And this allows you to produce a break in the bees' brood cycle, which reduces the mites in their brood cycle. So I've got a video, I'll leave a link below on using these. You can use a different kind of California queen cage as well. These are cool. Oh, by the way, the brush, I've also used a turkey feather. Somebody sent me these. So these make good bee brushes, believe it or not, a turkey feather. So maybe it's hard to get one. Hey, it's Thanksgiving. Maybe you've got some laying around. I'm filming this a few days after Thanksgiving. Let's see, what else have I got in here? Those are kind of my essential little tools that I keep in a box here. Let me move this and I'll tell you some more stuff. So let's see, we made it all the way here. A robber screen. I've made a video on robber screens. So important because in the fall, your bees can easily get robbed out. And typically I buy plastic queen excluders. They're larger than this, but I cut the pieces up and use them for other things. I use this one to put on the entrance of a hive to keep them from swarming, holding the queen in. So if you buy a plastic queen excluder, you can get your tin snips out and snip away and make it something special that you need, or use it for a queen excluder. This goes over here for later. Now, when I first started beekeeping, I actually bought this tool here. This is the original one that I used when I was scared to death of bees when I first started. I didn't want to touch the frames of the bees, even with my gloves on. So this is a frame gripper, and it opens up. The spring is kind of shot on it, but you open it up, put it on a top bar frame, and then you squeeze it, and you can actually pull the frame up without having to touch the frames with your fingers or hands. Well, I got brave pretty quick and stopped using this. But some people I know start off using these because they're scared to death. All right, put things over here that I've done. Now, here's something that's very unique. This is a tool of mine because I live in central Illinois, kind of like a part of Tornado Alley. We have a lot of severe storms in the bee season. And so this is actually a strike alert lightning detector. It can detect lightning. I can't remember for sure, but like maybe 6 to 12 miles away. And so if I'm out in the bee yard and you can get struck by lightning, even though the storm may not be really close to you, kind of lightning does that, really far away. I like to wear this sometimes if I'm concerned about an approaching storm. I can keep working bees knowing how far the lightning is. It says on the top of it how close lightning is. And so a lightning strike, these are pretty cheap. I do like those. When we were talking about the alcohol wash, I started buying my alcohol in a gallon bucket at a time. I think it's cheaper, not for sure, but it's handier. Rather than have a bunch of little bottles, I can just take this out in the field with me and use a gallon of alcohol. Works out good. Bobblehead David is here. We got a lot more tools. Bobblehead David is here to say, please subscribe. So let's talk about more tools. I don't want to get into extraction just yet, but I will. A frame hanger. Now, if you notice, I don't use these a lot, mainly because I can't find mine where it is. But anyway, this hooks on the side of your opened bee box, and you can hang your frames in here and hold them out of the hive, extend them in the air on these little hooks. So this is a frame hanger. A lot of people love these. I've actually had people ask me if they can bring these to the Master Beekeeping Certification field test. And as long as it's brand new, you can. But some people like to hang their frames out like that. Feeders. Now this is a typical feeder here. This is called a frame feeder. And this takes the place of a frame or two. And it has little ladders in there that the bees can go up and down in the liquid. So you pour your sugar water in here and bees can go down in there and consume sugar water. The reason I'm not crazy about these, they usually go in the brood area. It's a deep frame, and it cuts down on 1 or 2 frames of brood because you have to take those out and put this in there. So I don't like to minimize population by taking out brood frames. Gloves are essential. I just buy a bunch of heavy duty nitrile gloves, and I like these. These are particularly not sting proof, but they're propolis proof. So if you don't like propolis on your fingers, you can put these on and you don't have to worry about all the sticky propolis on your fingers. That is a lifesaver for sure. Back to feeders. This is the feeder that I invented. The Burns feeder board system comes with the lids and a place you want to push a pollen patty through, you can do that. But this is a handy feeder board, and we sell a boatload of those. You guys have really enjoyed that. All right, let's talk about the extraction right quick. So the extraction, I have a whole video of extracting honey, so I'll leave a link below. Just going to show you what you need to do it. You need this kind of a bucket with a gate, a honey gate, it's called on it. And you need like this kind of a strainer. It's this might be a 200 micron strainer. Fits on the top, and out of your extractor goes through the strainer just to get bee legs and wooden frame pieces off. And maybe a piece of a flow hive that I don't know what that's doing in there. Anyway, that's handy to have. And then let me put this over here. While you're taking your honey frames and cutting them off, again, watch that video. I show you from hive to bottle. So I'm not going to do that right now. But I made something pretty simple like this that would just fit on a tub. So I don't have to buy expensive beekeeping equipment. A little nail sticks up to hold my frame. And then I don't really use hot knives. I just use serrated like a bread knife to cut the wax cappings off the honey frames. Now I have used these heated knives, as you can see here. They do work. They're a little more money. Plug them in, 120, and then you can cut the cappings off. You can always do that. I did use those for years, but I've just found this cold knife, it's called, a lot easier for me. And if the knife doesn't cut everything off, you can scrape it with a honey scraper. That's an essential tool. This is what I love to use to get bees off my honey supers in the hive. Like if your honey super is full of bees, but it's capped over, ready to be harvested, this is Honey Bandit, and I love it. It says it's the greatest thing. I mean, it is. I mean, I really do enjoy it. I don't have to use butyric acid, a bee robber. I think this is really good. I think it's all organic, and it's called Honey Bandit. It just gets the bees off out of the super so you can harvest the frames, put them over here and strain and extract. Now you have to extract, let's go over there, because you have to extract your frames once you cut them and slice them. I have a lot more tools to show you, but before I do, let me encourage you guys to please stop in on my live stream every Thursday night at 7 p.m. It is one of, if not the largest live stream in beekeeping on YouTube. So I'd really love for you to be there. We have so much fun. Hundreds of beekeepers gather. We have camaraderie in the chat, and we've become what's known as Beak Squad family of people on my live stream. And I always have a beekeeping class on my channel for the first maybe 15 minutes. And then I ask Then you ask me questions and I answer your questions, and we usually have a giveaway. So it's a great time to win something, learn something, and enjoy the camaraderie of other beekeepers every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Let me show you a few more things. Now, this is an essential tool. This is all the stuff that I use. It doesn't mean that I don't use a few other things once in a while, but these are the essential things that I use all the time. Green drone comb for trapping mites. Very efficient mite control method without using treatments. Got videos in the description below on how to use that. This is actually a roller. I did a red wax experiment, very popular video on YouTube. Wrote an article in Bee Cultural about it, but how bees use wax that you give them on a undrawn plastic foundation. If you give them extra wax, they pull it out faster, remarkably faster. So this is really good for that. And you can use any kind of I don't know, like an electric skillet to melt the red wax down. Or don't have to use red wax. That was an experiment. Just get a block of regular wax from a beekeeper or on Amazon, or save the wax from your own cappings. Back to extracting. This is a refractometer. Put a drop of honey there, smash it down, look in here and see what the moisture level is. Really not that expensive, and it probably needs calibrated, but it's easy to calibrate. And these are really cheap, 30 bucks, under $40, I think still. And so they let you know that your honey is ready for harvest, what the moisture level is. Beetle traps, there's all kinds of ways to trap for beetles. The tool that I use is just a plastic disposable beetle traps. Fill it with a 1/4 inch of vegetable oil at the bottom. Small honey beetle jump in. They're trapped and killed. Of course, feeding the Burns feeder boards comes with these lids, but if you don't use my feeders, if you're going to use another feeder, this is a really important tool to feed your bees. It's just a regular smallmouth canning jar lid, and we poke holes in there. Now, people are always confused and misled about why the honey or why the sugar water doesn't just run out of there, right? You got to understand vacuum, barometric pressure, and all that stuff. But if you turn a jar, if you invert a jar that's filled up and it has vacuum at the top, it doesn't run out. And so it stays in there, and the bees are able to use their proboscis to eat. That's a really important thing. Look at this. Kind of a little bit of a stray tool, outlier tool. This is a wallpaper remover. It kind of scores wallpaper with these little, an axle with these little pokey-outy things. I don't know what they're called. But what I do with this is I score the inside of my boxes, in my brood boxes, before I use them. Studies have shown that if you can get the bees to put a little more propolis inside the brood area, it might increase their ability to not have to use so much of their own energy to fight pathogens. So anyway, these are kind of cool things. I think I buy them at Harbor Freight or something pretty cheap, but they break easy, so they're not really expensive. They do a good job at scoring the inside of your box, forcing the bees to add more of their propolis, which is part of their immune system. So that's a tool that I love to use, and I've made a video on how to use those as well. Now, you may be wondering, David, there's so many other beekeeping tools. I go to conferences, the vendor halls are full of just hundreds of people selling thousands of beekeeping gizmos and gadgets. You've only shown me, how many is here? Under 30 maybe? And well, these are the essential things that I feel that beekeepers need to have. And everything else is just kind of sizzle on the steak, right? It doesn't mean it's going to be really helping you all that much. It could make it easier, but these are the things that you're going to find that you're going to enjoy using. And I wanted to show those to you because I think these are things that you probably should have in your toolbox. There's a lot of other stuff out there, don't get me wrong, and I do have and have used a lot of other things. But when it comes down to it, right now, I just went through my shop, I went through my studio back there, I went through several buildings, and I just grabbed anything that was out in the open because I knew that's what I use. The stuff that I don't use, it's not out in the open anymore. It's off in a closet, in a box, you know. But these are the things that I'm always grabbing, always using. So I'm happy that you guys can see the things that probably will make your beekeeping hobby a lot more fun and be able to do it effectively with these tools here. Now, if you're watching this video on the day it's published, on the weekend, it's Sunday, and tomorrow is Cyber Monday, and if you're watching it when it's released, that means you still have a chance to take advantage of 50% off all my online courses. Please do that, save some money, and learn about bees. It'd be great. Check the link out right here. Now, if you're right into the end of November and it's kind of like you live in an area where you're like me, it's kind of like mid-fall or something like that, cold outside, I've got some tips for the end of November, what you should be doing with your bees. Check out the video right here, guys. See you over there.